Hello, and welcome to episode 17 of Modern Media Review. I'm Robin Gibson.
And I'm Sean Golighley.
And we've had a wee bit of a gap because we sort of didn't really notice it was Easter, unfortunately. I never notice Easter.
Well, we always work through Easter, Robin, as I did this. I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday.
Yeah, I was hard at it as well, all Easter, yeah. But now we're back. And before we start this week's review, which is very, very topical, innit?
Been topical for about 3 years.
But it's more topical than ever now. Before we start, just to say, if you like the podcasts and what we do in general, please visit our YouTube channel. Don't want to make that sound too pleading, but you could visit if you like to, and subscribe on there if you'd like to. You can also listen to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes,
via the website.
On the website, modernmediareview.com.
Absolutely.
And we're also on Twitter at review_modern, and we're on Facebook, but we don't talk about that too much. And with that, we'll get on with the review. A couple of websites that I've reviewed on our website. Very exciting, the prospect of new political parties springing up for the European elections.
Well, change,
which obviously we didn't expect to be having.
Well, change is always exciting, and the first one we're going to talk about is Change UK, but they've already changed their name from Change UK.
Well, they've changed it to Change UK. They started off as the Independent Group, which sounded a bit like, well, an independent group, like the Gang of Four or Wire or something like that, you know. But they were the Independent Group. We reviewed the website on Modern Media Review, and it seemed very grey and dull.
Well, it is grey.
Well, it's even more grey and dull now. They've come up with a logo, haven't they, which is 4 bars, which is a bit like a kind of...
I thought that was a menu.
Easy listening version of the Black Flag logo. It's 4 little bars, and really bad. I mean, maybe this is coming at it too much from a graphic design point of view. They've added Change UK to the Independent Group, because they obviously can't decide which they want, and they've stacked it up vertically. And when I first look at that, it just looks like Change the Independent Group. I don't notice the
Which is
UK.
an idea.
Well, they couldn't they? Change it to something else again.
Well, if you just read straight down the website, it says, change the independent group. Let's change it.
Politics is broken. You don't notice that bit either.
Politics is broken is a bit of a broken cliche, isn't it?
Well, the whole thing about this party is cliches. It's not new. It's a bunch of old nobodies from Labour and the Tories, which is the most bizarre combination.
Well, the other thing is, when they're talking about politics is broken, there's a slight irony involved in that, considering they're all splitters.
They've all left to try and they just haven't got, I don't think they've got the kudos to carry this off. And looking at the website, they're not carrying anything off, are they? There's no charisma about it at all.
Well, I hate to go back into ancient history, but people that follow politics will remember the old Gang of Four from the 1980s, when the last time Labour had a split within the ranks.
David Owen and...
Shirley Williams, Bill Rogers, and who was the...
Roy Jenkins.
Roy Jenkins, of course. How could we forget him? But at least they were heavyweights at the time. I mean, these people, if you went into the high street and asked them to name any of them, how many would you get?
I think you get Chucker, because he was once...
Labour leader.
At least if you did in South
Material.
London. Yeah, but he decided not to do that because, remember, he didn't want the publicity and all the personal...
Yeah, because he was sorting this nonsense out.
No, but I mean, he was meant to be sort of keeping his private life private, and now he obviously knows this isn't going to get the attention.
And the other thing is, he spent all his time setting this all up, and it looks like somebody's got GoDaddy, has gone to GoDaddy, and pieced together some sort of like random selection of sort of boxes, basically.
It's really pathetic, and when they set it up, they at least had some pictures from the infamous press conference where the BBC journalist was heard saying, you know, between this and Brexit,
we're all fucked.
But they've changed it and made it even worse. At least on that site, they had some pictures of the independent group members, bass player, drummer, all that. And now where it says who we are, it doesn't tell you who they are. It's got their shared values. They believe it's a great country and everyone should have a nice pair of socks, and don't put your coat on before you go out, you won't get the benefit of it.
Never cast a clout till May's out.
Obvious stuff that you can't disagree that a strong economy means you can invest in your public services.
Or that the NHS is nice.
No, exactly.
We like that. But
there's nothing there. There's no oomph, is there?
Well, under this title of Who We Are, they just should have said, who are we? Because they don't seem to have any sort of clue who they are.
Well, they've got even less now. As I said, they had the picture, even though admittedly it was pretty bad, because on the original website, Luciana Berger was on the rostrum talking in her head.
Decapitated.
Yeah, so, you couldn't even tell who she was. But now they've got nothing, and I noticed that unlike the other party, which we will discuss later, they haven't told... There's no mention here never mind the original gang of 7 or 8 or 11 or what it ended up as, any of the candidates, any of the people involved in it at all. It's got to be the worst Who We Are section ever. And is it that surprising, given that it's sort of ironic when you consider that years and years ago, David Cameron, who's obviously, we've got to credit him because he's the reason for all of this.
That is the architect of Brexit.
He called UKIP a load of closet racists and swivel-eyed cranks and
fruitcases,
didn't he? But fruitcases doesn't really matter. But the independent group / Change UK or Change UK, the independent group, they're candidates, which they were asking you to apply on the website a few months ago, and obviously loads of people did apply, and they've just rushed all through the applications because they've got a right rum bunch, and 2 of them have had to step down from their candidature already.
Well, I think one of the basic problems they had is they just processed whoever applied.
It looks like it, yeah, because the first one to go was this bloke who was making these disparaging remarks about Romanian pickpockets, Ali Sajadi, saying that...
former Tory, Change UK candidate.
And saying he kind of believed in Brexit because there are a lot of Romanian pickpockets around in the tube. Hardly an ideal Change UK candidate, but an ideal former Tory. And then today, as we speak, obviously, this other dude, I mean, I don't even know if I can repeat what he said, Joseph Russell, who was announced as a lead candidate in Scotland, has tweeted, can we even read this out? It's shocking. Black women scare me. I put this down to be chased, no, you can't even write English. I put this down to being chased through Amsterdam by a crazy black whore. And there's worse than that.
I mean, it's just extraordinary.
Well, he's
but he's gone now.
Well, he said he's going to have to stand down for the good of his mental health. Which is big of him, you know.
Well, I don't think he was prepared.
What about the good of our mental health?
Yeah, exactly. Never mind him. I think he's past help.
Well, he is, but I mean, the whole thing, do you not think it just seems a bit disorganised and crap, the independent? I mean, last night they were on the news waffling on about how they wanted to make this and that better. Never mind these obscure racists that they've had to throw off the boat already. They've got in this kind of horrible, kind of worthy, sort of media-orientated little group of people like Rachel Johnson, who I think has campaigned for virtually everyone.
And anyone.
And Gavin Esler.
I mean, it's extraordinary, but the whole tone of this sounds like some sort of parish newsletter where we're punting out something to, raise money for somebody in the local area and blah, blah, blah. And it's just...
They've made a fundamental mistake. They don't... Chuck it in and all that lot do not understand that people don't want third-way Blairite politics. There is a reason why all them people voted to leave. They're not all idiots and they're not all racists. There's an underlying reason why someone, in Sunderland who might even lose their job because of Brexit voted for Brexit. It's not because they're an idiot. Well, some might disagree with me, but they don't get this. They think they can reverse us back into the Blair era with this nice kind of cosmopolitan, metropolitan, whatever it's called.
Because they're living in their media bubble where they're only talking to each other.
Yeah. I mean, Chucker, he's in South London metropolitan, isn't he?
Absolutely.
He's not going to resonate in Sunderland.
And basically, who knows who's doing their website, but it's just, compared to who we're going to talk about, this looks like an amateur team that have drawn Man United in the FA Cup. Do you know what I mean?
It does look a bit like Dulwich Hamlet or something, doesn't it? The other new party, which is not pleasant, is it? It's Nigel Farage's new party, the Brexit party, but he has got better website than the independent group Change UK, the independent Change group.
Well, the great advantage he has is he's a one-issue party.
Yeah, they're a no-issue party.
I mean, that's their problem. But the thing that amused me straight away about, and this is brexitparty.org, which Nigel claims to have set up this party.
He does say in the video where he's standing on the white cliffs
of Dover.
A good look.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to... Or you did notice that ferry full of immigrants steaming through in the background.
Steaming through very quickly as if it was heading straight into Dover.
He says he set up the party, but in fact, the party was set up by a less savoury character who was also an ex-UKIP member called Catherine Blake Locke.
She had a bit of a problem ordering takeaways, I believe.
Yeah, she started the Brexit...
Not the usual one where you can't decide whether you're having mushroom and pepperoni.
Or even you get the wrong thing delivered.
No. Hers was about who actually delivers.
She had complained in print about her takeaway being delivered by someone in a burqa, which really spoiled her Thai meal. It's ironic, isn't it, that she's ordered a Thai meal, not fish and chips or something like that.
Steak and kidney pie.
She also wrote about complaining about pubs being turned into mosques.
I mean, why is that? That's almost as bad as their straight banana stick.
Well, are they being turned into mosques?
I haven't noticed any.
I noticed them being turned into luxury apartments.
Yeah, flats.
Anyway, apparently they've been turned into mosques and they can't keep the beer very well. Then she said that food banks contributed to obesity.
Yeah, definitely.
And
because those fat fuckers are always loading up on food bank stuff.
It didn't even make any sense because she said people should get their produce from a local farm shop near her, locally grown potatoes. But they're not going to the food bank to buy stuff, are they? No, they're going to get it for free.
Fundamental misunderstanding of what food banks are about.
Yeah, well, she's got a few fundamentalist misunderstandings, and I think her final straw was when she wrote a nice piece that culminated in just floating out the idea that maybe it'd be a good idea to hang drug dealers.
I mean, why stop there? Why not hang people that
Hang
voted to
everyone.
Remain? Yeah, 3 strikes and you're out. If you vote Remain 3 times, you need to be hung.
So she's the one who set the party up, but now she's had to fade away. You find these people often have to fade away, don't you, because of what they said. So Farage has just taken it over from her. But they've got a better website and they've actually put the candidates on it.
Oh, just before we talk about that, it's the layout of the website that made me smile.
It's out of the same kit, though, isn't it?
It is out of the same kit.
All these websites are the same. You want to take a look at Modern Media Review.
Exactly. But it's nice. Their logo is very sort of like Dad's Army versus the sort of like the Jam.
Yeah, it's very British, like the Jam. It's got that arrow, or maybe it's more like the Merton Parkers or something. It's not quite up to the Jam, is it? And they've kind of gone in on this. They've got a video, haven't they, on the website, which is shocking because although there's the sort of reassuring presence of and what's the guy's name? I thought he was a very Brexity sort of person. Rear Admiral Roger Lane Knott. That's the kind of person you expected on Brexit website, isn't it?
I mean,
a good Rear
it's
Admiral.
Reassuring.
Yes, Rear Admiral Roger
Steer
Lane
this
Knott.
ship to safe waters.
But the youth wing, as I put in the review, or the only people on it under 40, are both black. Isn't that a bit odd for the Brexit party?
Well,
or are they just trying to make it look cool and
more inclusive? Possibly.
It's almost impossible. How can they be a party that's entirely fundamentally only interested in leaving the EU and then say they're inclusive?
I'll digress and come back to you because one of the things that really made me smile when I looked at the Brexit Party website was the size of the fonts. They are absolutely massive.
That's good because then old people can... Oh yeah, they are huge, aren't they?
Yeah. Everything is huge. There is no problem about reading this. And the other thing is in the Join Us section, which is quite interesting, or Come to an Event, you've got Nigel to the front, smiling away, and around him are a load of, frankly, white people, waving Union Jacks, wrapped in Union Jacks, except Nigel is carrying what looks like a bit of a Trojan horse to me, a very German-looking Dachshund.
Oh, is he? Well, he's got ties with Germany, hasn't he?
He has. Maybe this is why he set up the Brexit Party, to get rid of the missus.
Well, it could be, because he's never been very keen on Europe, has he? What he is keen on is sitting in the European Parliament.
Yeah, getting the money.
Let's face it, what's happened here, right? Think about the progression we've got here. He spent all these years in the European Parliament. As soon as it comes to the bit where, we might not be in the European Parliament anymore, he stands up for the European Parliament again.
Well, he's straight onto the teat, isn't he? I mean, he's desperate to get the last few sucks of that European money before it all goes pear-shaped.
It's great, because on the website it says he's one of the most successful political leaders in modern British history. Now, I know what they mean, but he's only been successful getting into the European Parliament. He stood for election 7 times in Britain and failed every single time. But I will say this, right, and I dislike... Let's not mess about here giving him the wrong ideas. He's an obnoxious, horrible sort of person, really. But he has got a good point, because it's 3 years since the vote to leave the EU and we're about to have a European election. So, as a single issue, it's not a bad single issue, is it?
Well, it gives... Unlike the Change website, it's got massive focal point and it's very easy. And yet it carries so many little undertones through it that, you make you a little bit uncomfortable about all of it. Making Britain great again. What does that actually mean? Because there's a terrible whiff of rose-tinted backdating of history here. where, Britain must have been fantastic, back in the old days. World War II, allusions to Churchill and all the rest of it.
This is the problem with these folk who go on about this, is that I don't think they lived through World War II, because I think, as we said in a previous podcast, what happened in World War II? People were getting bombed out of their homes into a pile of rubble.
Absolutely.
It's not a comparable thing at all.
And also...
I don't think any of these people would be able to withstand getting bombed out of their home. They probably give us the money to rebuild it,
And also, it makes me smile a little bit.
From
because,
Europe.
When we strike out on our own from our sceptred isle, with no trade deals with anyone, I mean, the only thing we can do is reopen the Opium Wars, I think, with China. Maybe retake America, add that back into the British Empire. I mean, what?
More likely they'll retake us. Well, not retake us, take us. And they've put their candidates up, but again, you see, yesterday, as we speak, Change UK Independent Group. It's quite catchy, that, after you said it a few times, isn't it? They just unveiled all the candidates in a big blob.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And everybody all sat there, and this is him, this is her, this is what's her name, Rachel Johnson, this is Gavin Esler, these are some other nobodies you haven't heard of. And then, that was it. They're all there, right? And including the ones that have had to leave. But Brexit Party had about 5 on here when I reviewed the website, and since then they've added another couple. And then today, out of nowhere, they just parachuted in. I woke up and switched on the radio. Biggest shock of the week, really, to hear Anne Widdecombe being announced. It's like when they, halfway through Big Brother, when they fire in an extra housemate that you didn't expect.
I mean, it is extraordinary. I mean, talk about a blast from the past.
I think they should bring in Mr. Blobby, someone like that.
I mean...
he kind of sums up a lot of what's good about the Britain they like, doesn't he?
I mean, Anne Widdecombe has... overinflated sense of her own worth, because she's throwing all her political weight behind Nigel Farage.
No.
Now, she reminds me of these footballers who say they're retiring from international football years after everyone knows that they have, in effect, retired from international football and are no longer relevant.
She's now saying that Farage is second only to Thatcher. That's
but again, this shows how dated this nonsense is, because if you talk to any young person, they might even struggle to say who Maggie Thatcher was.
No.
You might as well say Churchill.
Yeah,
or Lord Palmerston or Gladstone.
Is Thatcher made it to the history books yet? Would they learn about her at school yet, or is it too modern for that?
Well, I mean, it's 40 years ago, isn't it?
Maybe they have then. Maybe they have. But yeah, in a different way to Change UK, the independent group, it's beginning to really roll off the tongue now. It's all backwards, isn't it? It's all backwards, alluding to Thatcher and all this sort of stuff. She's 71. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But it was a bit of a media coup, the way he just booted her into the picture this morning. And I noticed that she was on the Nick Ferrari show on LBC. That's where I heard it. And he was saying, this is an interesting question, but I don't know if it's actually relevant. He said, was it harder to convert from the Tory party to the Brexit party than it was to convert to Roman Catholicism? It reminded me that she was, for some reason, was a Roman Catholic convert. And I'm always a bit suspicious of people who convert religions or take up a new one are a bit fanatical and weird,
massively
aren't they?
Fundamentalists.
Blair did it, didn't he?
Yeah. Because they become super religious or super into this sort of like Brexit party.
Yeah, but the only person I ever thought was right to change the religion was George from Seinfeld when he converted to Latvian Orthodox to chase a really hot woman. That made sense, but just these kind of people, it worries you, doesn't it? Anyway, they've got Anne Widdecombe, but they also have got this other remarkable group of people, haven't they? Nigel Farage, obviously. Richard Tice, who they've described as a business person. That's very politically correct, isn't it? Someone's obviously sat down going, we can't call him a businessman, it's sexist. And then they've given up with that, and Ben Habib...
See, he's an entrepreneur.
He's an entrepreneur.
Is that not a business person?
He's a believer in Britain.
I'm a believer in
Fair
Britain.
enough, it's still there, isn't it?
It is. I believe it's still there.
Apparently. And then you've got Annunziata Rees-Mogg. What a turncoat. She's Jacob's sister.
But isn't it ridiculous how these political families, this nepotism, seems to permeate? No wonder people are pissed off with politics, when all you have to do to parachute yourself in is to say, I'm a sister of somebody equally far out there.
Well, she's a journalist. She has got a job.
Well...
And then you've got this other woman, June Mummery. It just says fishing industry.
She is a fishing industry.
As if she's a one-woman fishing industry.
She is.
Anyway, she spent years fighting
for the rights of British fishermen.
Men.
What about women?
But my favourite one is Dr. Alka Siegel Cuthbert, whose name they've spelt wrong on the website. I mean, it's been like this for a week now. Cuthbert, right? No one spells Cuthbert, do they? It's Cuthbert. And we did a bit of checking up on her. Turns out that she was originally in the Revolutionary Communist Party.
Bit of a switch.
Yeah. I mean, and another one turned up today who also has been in the Revolutionary Communist Party. It's a bit weird that, because this isn't any old communist party, is it? I mean, these were a sort of pretty mad
Stormtroopers.
Militant communists who supported the IRA and God knows all what, didn't they? Claire Fox, former Revolutionary Communist Party member. Don't get me wrong, she says, I'm from the left. I'm not going to agree with Nigel on any range of questions.
But I'll join his party.
Well, the whole thing is, it's all turned into this massive fallacy that democracy's under threat, which is what they keep saying on this Brexit party. Look at him, look a bit like Hitler there, doesn't he? Videos just playing in the background because we're looking at the Daily Mail site where you can't keep the videos off your screen. That's a very disturbing video of Farage, actually. Anyway, it's a big fallacy that democracy's been overturned because people want to vote again. Now, personally, I'm not that bothered about having another vote, but I've got to say that you can't just have one vote and then never have another one. That's not democracy. One vote, well, one vote this week and that's it for the rest of your lives, you know. You've got to say that people are allowed to change their mind. Old voters die, new voters are born, new voters become 18. They're basing the whole party just on this. Democracy's under threat, which is, I think, is a wee bit... I don't think they've got any brainiacs behind this like the Leave campaign did. But this idea that democracy's under threat is a very powerful message.
Well, the whole strength of it is that there is no depth to it. It's just very, very simple, and this is why it's successful. In the same way that Trump was with his Make America Great Again, and just rattling on about that. We'll do this and we'll do that, we'll save American jobs, all this nonsense, no detail. It just is very easy to latch onto.
Well, it is, yeah, and there's nothing much else they're saying here except that.
What else do you need?
I don't know. Well, I'd advise people to go to the other Brexit Party website, because some wags... I mean, there's an element of this that makes another sort of internet smart arse. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But some wags have, as the term goes, squatted. Well, they haven't squatted. Brexit Party forgot to register.com.
Yeah, so they registered.org.
Someone else has got .com and to set up a no Brexit Party website with saying it's time to stop Farage. And it's quite funny, actually. But they want donations. I'm not donating to them.
Maybe we should do that. Just set up a donate page on our... Although I don't think we'd get that many, would we, if people donate? I mean, it is quite amusing. The one thing that they said on it, which I thought was interesting, was that almost by accident, Nigel Farage has helped set up the biggest pro-European movement seen since Brexit, which was ended in the million-person march in London. But then, as you said rightly, but Nigel did sort of help get 17.4 million people voting to leave.
Yeah, but having said that, it is true. I mean, given all the time he spent in the European Parliament and the fact
he loves the place.
Again,
he's going to keep this going.
He must be amazingly pleased that people are now excited about the European elections. Although, you know what? I don't really think they are. I think when it comes round to the day, it's going to be a low turnout.
It'll be the same as any other European election that you voted in, and I've voted in them all, is that you get there, everyone's asleep at the sort of like, when they're going to give you your sort of like voting slip.
No one even asks you who you voted for. No one's turned out from any of the parties.
No. But, I mean, we're in the Southwest. Have you seen our list of candidates for the Southwest? It's like sort of...
Are we?
I
thought we were in the Southeast.
I think we're Southwest, aren't we? Rachel Johnson and all that lot.
That's like down in Torquay and all that?
No.
No, that's not here.
She wouldn't be standing for down that way.
No, we're Southeast.
Are we?
We're London.
Okay.
Well, I vote in Scotland anyway.
Oh,
so
fair
I'll be
enough.
voting for the SNP.
Well, my advice to you is vote early and often.
Yeah, I'll try to. I don't think there's much more we need to say about these appalling websites, and I think the excitement we felt about the change in politics with the new parties popping up has been dashed, really.
Well, it's a bit of a lead balloon, and all you can say looking at Change UK, the independent group, who are we, is that you can't see this lasting very long, can you?
No, I think it's a dead duck. Dead duck.
Yes.
God, it's so dull. Our primary duty as a party is to put the best interests of the people of the country first and foremost. What else is it going to be? To put the worst interests of the people of the country and put them at the end of the queue, you know? What a load of nonsense. On that note, I want to wrap this up,
Okay.
and we'll wait and see what happens at European elections.
Very little.
And we're not advising anyone to vote for the Brexit Party.
No.
Or change UK, the independent group.
Although I think Nigel might just have a little change of heart. Once he's back in Brussels, and he's, the only place that he's been successfully elected to, he might have a little change of heart and say, I'll miss all this when we're gone.
Let's hope so. Anyway, on that note, we'll say we will be back next week.
Absolutely.
And
because it's not Easter.
It's not Easter.
Or Christmas.
It's not any sort of public holiday that I'm aware of. We'll be reviewing something else.
Who knows?
Who knows what it'll be. And for now, we'll say goodbye and
thanks for listening.
Bye.